is going on, YouTube? Northeast Ohio Sports Cards here for the week that was. That's right, the Sunday morning show, the one and only. Before we get started, YouTube stuff down below. Smash the like, leave me a comment or question, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. The quest for 10K continues. Almost to 9K. Almost to the 1 year of the channel. Very close. Getting there. Getting there. About another week. A little over a week. Don't know what I'm going to do yet. Affiliate links down below. Market movers. eBay. If you're going to buy some stuff, use the eBay link. We're going to be using market movers per the usual. So if you want to check out where all these fancy charts and graphs come from, take a look at market movers. Discount code down there for 20% off your first purchase. So that counts for month or yearly. With all that preamble, let's get into it, shall we? I'm going to cover all three major sports today. News-wise, I pretty much touched on most of it yesterday. The Target thing happened and Zion breaking his finger. Both not great. See what for full thoughts, see the video from yesterday. The markets currently, really across the board are pretty soft right now still. NFL's kind of just floating out there. Baseball, I hated to say it, but we're going to get into it. You're starting to see the dip on a lot of the big players because they're just not living up to expectations. And in some cases, in my opinion, they are living up to expectations, but it really takes a lot to keep these prices elevated in season for whatever reason. The hype that we build up on these cards in the off seasons versus what they do in the regular season. I don't know if eventually people start figuring this stuff out and, I just don't know what happens. At some point in time, people are going to smarten up to this, that in most cases, it doesn't make a lot of sense to carry these guys into players. And then I feel like everyone's going to start selling earlier and earlier. I don't know, like a cat chasing its own tail or something. So we'll see what happens. The NBA market is ridiculously soft, continues to be. Keep an eye on auctions. I've seen some auction prices and pretty low on some stuff. Even on football, I saw some interesting Mahomes prices going around. It's a good time to go after the greats, if you will, like the modern day greats. If you wanted a Trout and you missed your opportunity, his prices are getting back down there again. If you wanted a nice Luka, it's dipping. If you wanted an Acuna or a Soto, watch for auctions specifically. So that's kind of my general thoughts across the market. We'll see what happens with NBA once the playoffs start. And it's not like we've talked about the playoffs and holding things to sell in the playoffs. Like the playoffs aren't some magic elixir that's going to cure the entire sports card market. That's not how it's going to work. Players that play well and move on and have big games will be rewarded in their card prices most likely. Not every single card is going to go to the moon just because it goes from the regular season to the playoffs. That's not how this is going to work. And when guys get eliminated, their prices are probably going to drop. I do still feel like it's good buying mode for NBA, especially guys not in the playoffs. Keep an eye on their prices, see if they continue to tick down. And, start buying some of this stuff up. But in my opinion, try to go for some lower pop count stuff if you can. Stick with your selects, stick with your color variations, whatever. Optic color, prism variations, prism color, numbered stuff, whatever. Prism base is still fine, but I wouldn't want prism base as a long-term hold. And stuff that looks like it has small pop counts now, guys like Darius Garland, Colin Sexton, Kevin Porter Jr. I don't know why I just named 3 Cavs, but whatever, or ex-Cavs. Guys like that are going to be the ones that are sitting in the PSA backlog and see their population counts increase. I still like those players, but just be careful what you're buying. Just pay more attention to that sort of stuff. But I do feel like it's a safe bet to start buying some of these NBA dips on these guys for sure, and then just hold them until September, October. I think is the play. That's what, I've been trying to split the middle with buying guys that could pop off in the playoffs, but I also wouldn't mind holding Donovan Mitchell. So, it's not like the entire collectibles market's in the tank or anything crazy like that. As soft as the sports card market is right now, I mean, I know a lot of people aren't super interested in it, but the comic book market continues to go strong. There are nearly record-breaking prices on stuff every single week, and that market is thriving. So it's not like money has left the collectibles markets, if you will. I just think people are being a little bit more conscious of the sports card stuff with the pop counts, the PSA backlog, this, that, and the other thing. And, the sports card market really feels like it's been attacked from all angles the last 3 months from everyone trying to take bigger pieces of the pie. I think I might do a little bit more in-depth discussion about that later in the week. So let's get into some individual players, cards, and charts. We are going to hit all 3 sports today, some quicker than others. And I do have a Sunday spotlight for this week. For those that do not remember and do not stick around to the end of the videos, I usually try to do on Sundays a little call out, shout out for another content creator that I enjoy what they do and watch their stuff to try to perhaps grow their audience or turn you guys and girls on to someone that you might not already be watching. This week we have a little bit of a bigger channel. I would be surprised if you have not heard of this person, but I enjoy his stuff, so he made Sunday Spotlight. We will get to that in a few minutes. Up first, Jordan Love. Wild week for him. Kind of cruised along. I actually ran a 14-day chart on this just to kind of capture the whole thing. This is his base Prism Raw. Was cruising around about $20. Aaron Rodgers trade rumors spiked up to 50. Has now dropped back down to the 30s and is now even dipping down, right at about $30. Was floating between 30 and 35. This is an interesting one. I honestly think there's a good shot Rodgers gets traded. I obviously have no sources on this. This is just all from my gut. But Love is an interesting play if you want to gamble, because if he legit gets traded, this card will shoot up and you will be able to quick flip it. Now, there's a real good chance that doesn't happen, and then you're left holding the bag on some Jordan Love stuff. I think you would be okay, because I think if they don't trade him this offseason, they would probably trade him next offseason, or something else could happen by then. You never know in football. So it could turn into a longer term hold if it doesn't pan out in the short term, or something could happen to Rodgers in season and then Love has to take over the starting job because he gets hurt or something. Regardless, I am intrigued by the Jordan Love dip, if you will. All it would take is another Schefter tweet for this thing to spike back up again to 30, 40, 50, maybe even $60. I will say this. I like this better as a star stock play than I do a physical card play, if that makes sense. So the Jordan Love market is something I do have my eyes on because I do think there is some definite flip potential with him. And if you get stuck holding the bag, you get stuck holding the bag. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. Just know that you're allocating that money to sit for probably about a year, maybe not quite a year, probably till early next off season. I just kind of wanted to talk about the 2020 card market in general for football. Prism's been out for a hot minute. This is Herbert's charts. I just went with Herbert because he's the leader of the pack of the 2020 rookies. His base Prism has basically essentially reached where it's going to sit now, I think, for a while. And that's a little over $100. The other thing I noticed this week, Select has been on the market for almost a month now. It appears that most of the Select stuff has flattened out. It's still dropping a little bit, but I think we're real close to Select finding its floor. If I ran 30-day charts on all this stuff, it would look like a LaMelo Prism where it starts really high and then dips down very quickly. But now we're at that point where it is beginning to level off. Over the last 7 days, you could see the club level only dropped 3%. Field level only dropped 10%. Premier and Concourse dropped about 15%. this tells me that we're getting there. So we're pretty close. So if you're looking to buy Herbert Ross Select, I think now's the perfect time to do it if that's what you wanted to get yourself into. It's just so tricky with nowhere to really grade this stuff. I guess you could send it to CSG, try to get in the HGA queue or whatever. But in my opinion, if you're buying 2020 football, you want it graded and back by August 1st at the latest. And that's just hard to pull off if you're not paying through the nose at $300 a card through PSA. And there's very few cards that justify that. The only thing on this list that would remotely justify it might be a Herbert field level. And I don't even know if that's the case. Unless you're real sure it can 10. And PSA does seem to be cracking down a little bit harder on 9s versus 10s. So whether that's anecdotal or not, I do not know, but that everyone in the hobby seems to be saying that. So including some people that I respect. So if they're saying it, then I guess I have to, listen to it, though I try not to buy into the whole pop control theory too much, but it sounds like something's going on. The interesting thing that I found here, one, club level still feels like it's too cheap. Looks like these have settled in at about $40. This is if you're going to buy Herbert and you don't want to buy field level or anything from the 2020 class, go for the club level. I mean, ideally go for field level, this one right here, but I understand it's a lot more expensive, but I do feel like these club levels are drastically undervalued. Once again, over the last 7 days, this isn't the perfect world, but it gives you an idea. Base Concourse Select, there's been 240 sales. Premier, there's been 126. Club level 53. I'm sorry, club level 59. Field level, 53. These look like they're decently rare when it comes to the different select levels, and they're selling for not that much more. Premier 126, club 59, $30 to $39 for the extra $9 all day. All day, go for the club level. This might take a while for it to play itself out. Look how long it took for Select Premier to get the respect that it deserves. But at some point in time, if Herbert ends up being what everyone thinks he's going to be, I think this is a worthwhile adventure to go with the club level. The other interesting thing here is the field level going for 100 and his base Prism going for 110. Now, football's a little bit different than basketball, but in general, personally, I would rather have this any day of the week over this. And it's not even close, to be quite honest with you. Now, we don't know exactly what the increased select pop counts are going to look like yet. I will be curious to see how that shakes itself out. I'm probably going to do a select video early this week, kind of breaking some of this stuff down. I was doing some digging, but if you're going to go after Herbert or anything 2020 select, we're just talking this set in general, go field level. And I would take the field level over Prism. If you can't afford the field level or the base Prism, I think the club level of the 2020 selects are my preferred rookie out of any of the other sets. So if you're talking Optic, Prism, whatever, if you're just going for base, go for the club level. That's the way that I would play it. Moving off football, let's talk about baseball. Baseball's following the trend that I had a feeling it was going to. The season started and these guys are going down. Now, Soto was hurt. He is back. He already hit a home run since being back. This is his base PSA 10, both his chrome and his paper. Both are down. Paper is down 14%. The chrome's down 10%. Paper at $243. This is the lowest I've seen this in quite a while. The chrome has slipped under 400. And I don't know if this is a combination of, him being hurt plus people starting to catch on to this population count. And I know that there aren't as many options for Soto rookies like there are in basketball, where you have 100 different Zions to choose from. There's only so many true Soto rookies to choose from, but 17,000 is still a lot. 16,910 is a lot. So I think that's why the chrome price is hanging a little bit better. That and the chrome does seem to be more popular. So his stuff is dipping. Tatis, same thing. His Chrome is down 19%. His paper is down 15%. This is down to 225. This is down to 325. If you're a believer in Tatis, man, keep an eye on this Topps Chrome. This gets sub $300. That seems like a pretty good deal. Even the paper, if this drops below 200, in my opinion, seems like a pretty good deal. You might have to hold it for a while. And when I say a while, I'm talking like January or February. But that seems pretty cheap to me. Or if he pops off, who knows? He could go have another monster week and then his prices go to the moon. I know myself personally, I just grabbed one of paper just because it seemed kind of cheap. I put an offer out for $230 on one and someone accepted. That was before it had dropped this low. I feel okay about that. Even if it goes below $230, I'm fine with it. It's not the end of the world because I'm in no hurry to move it. So I could sit on it for a while. I don't think it'll take much for him to pop off if he goes crazy. But yeah, his stuff getting very cheap as well. Just for the sake of it, I pulled up Acuna. He's actually up slightly. His Topps update paper is up 20% and his Chrome is up 2%. Not a lot, but just the fact that it's staying steady. Acuna's been playing out of his mind. He's having, other than him and Ohtani, they are probably the two biggest hype winners of the baseball season so far. Tatis has had some really big moments. Soto's been the forgotten guy. Soto's the one I am most interested in because if his stuff falls, I will be a buyer all day long. I am not the biggest baseball guy in the world, but in my opinion, any one of these three that their prices dip is worth a play, especially Acuna and Soto. I like those two slightly better than Tatis, mostly because Tatis's shoulder still worries me, even though it probably shouldn't. But when you're talking about these three guys, they are the future of the league, and they are all fantastic. I don't think you can go wrong with any of the three. So I will automatically look to buy dips on any of these three players. No problems, no questions asked. So I have my eyes open on all three of these guys. And I would make plays on any of them if they reached whatever price targets that you have for them. Another one that's going to get interesting quick, and I'll probably miss the window here. Franco, Mr. Wander, is probably going to get his call up soon. If I would guess, I'm going to guess by the end of May, early June. I could be wrong on that, but it seems to be what everyone's pointing towards. His stuff was dipping, and boy, would I have liked to get this PSA 10 Chrome for $208 on the 4th. I guess I was not watching his stuff close enough, but he hit a couple home runs this week and his prices spiked back up to $275. Paper moved back up again. Chrome's up 25% on the week. I'm sorry, paper's up 25% on the week. Chrome ended flat on the week, but had dipped. Same with the paper. It was dipping. You can see on the same day here. And then it started going up because he started smashing the ball in AAA again. Everything points to him being really good. I don't like to play the prospect game that much in baseball. I would rather wait and buy these guys once they're established. But I think once again, if you could get deals, I was specifically trying to pick this stuff up on Star Stock and people were just not selling. Everyone's just holding. Because I have to imagine whenever the tweet comes out with Wander Franco coming to the majors, I just think his stuff has to shoot up. I thought about even buying high on Wander on Star Stock, but I just haven't yet. I've been kind of holding back on Star Stock to a degree to see if I could get some deals in NBA stuff, or I have cards waiting to be loaded. I'm trying to wait for those to get loaded, though it's probably going to be another few weeks. It probably won't be till the end of this month, actually, because I kind of want to reassess what I have on there because I might be able to chase a lot bigger stuff. I sent them 900 cards, so it should be a decent chunk of change once I move through them. That's going to take some time, so I'm trying to keep my powder dry on Star Stock as much as possible. I have about $1,000 into football and about $1,000 tied up in baseball and about $1,000 free. Actually, it's probably like $1,500 to be able to make some moves. I like to keep money open on Star Stock to make moves if I want to without having to dump stuff. So I like to keep a third of my money, whatever I have in there, relatively open to be able to make quick flips if something pops up. Last one, baseball, Ohtani. His prices continue to climb. He is having an absolutely fantastic season. His base chrome's up 17%. His pink is up 4%. His refractor, regular refractor, is up 35%. I can speak from experience. This is an absolutely gorgeous card. I sold mine for $425 on eBay. I miss it dearly. But that was one that I bought on StarStock and shipped home and then sold on eBay at home. Ohtani's absolutely fantastic. I still get scared to death actually holding his stuff. Anytime I could take a profit on Ohtani, I have. Like the pink refractor, it was gorgeous to look at, but I moved on from it. I recommended selling him before the season. For anyone that made good profit off of him, you could have made more money off of him, but remember, this could have just as easily gone sideways. He just really scares me from an injury perspective, but the stuff that he is doing is absolutely insane. And if he could do it for a full season, he could be an absolute monster. I would consider picking up some of this stuff, not at the inflated prices. I would wait to see if they dip back down again. But you just have to know that whatever you put into him could be poof gone tomorrow, even more so than normal with a regular MLB player. Just with the pitching angle and the hitting angle. But man, is he a fun player to watch. And I still really kick myself for letting the pink refractor go. Maybe I'll pick up another one at a different time if prices come back down on his stuff again. But, I got to stick to the guns. You never go broke taking a profit. I bought it for $300. I sold it for $425. After fees, I probably netted out $75. Took that $375 and we'll move on to the next thing, whatever the next thing is. But yeah, that one was tough to let go. I'm not going to lie. That was one I should have left at StarStock because as soon as I got it home and it was sitting on my desk, I was like, man, I do not want to let this go. Let's transition over into basketball and then wrap this puppy up. This was an interesting one. Embiid PSA 10 Prism is actually down 20% on the week, down $165 to $645. This one didn't make a lot of sense to me, and this was mostly auction results. Once again, these auctions, look at this, 620, 645, 668, 645, 600 at auction. That seems really cheap for the star player on the number one seed in the East that in reality has a pretty easy path to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. Whether they can win the finals or not, I don't know. But the way the brackets are laying out, they're going to avoid the Bucks and the Nets until the finals, the Eastern Conference Finals. Embiid's pricing in the mid sixes, that just seems way too cheap. Way too cheap for me. With the amount of upside that he has going into the playoffs. This one seems wild. I'm surprised this is dropping this much. And it's a low pop count card too. There's only 1,000 of these things in a PSA 10. I may nose around, see what's available on StarStock. I wouldn't mind stashing one of these for $600 to $700. Maybe I'll even look around on eBay and see about getting something shipped home. But that just seems way too cheap. Once again, auctions. It seems like you can get some really good deals on auctions right now. This was the most surprising card of the week for me to see this going down like this, just right before the NBA playoffs. Let's talk Zion just really quick. We talked about him yesterday. He's most likely done for the season. I don't know that that's officially been announced yet. I pulled up his charts. I just don't know that the market has had time to react yet because it came out kind of late yesterday or early afternoon. His base Prism dropped a little bit, 5%. His optic dropped a little bit. His select concourse and premier level stayed the same, but to be fair, only like one sold over the last day. So I'm not going to take a lot off of that. We'll see. I'll be curious to see what this looks like come next Sunday. Like I talked about in the video yesterday, I think this could be a very good barometer for how much we can expect some of these other superstar players to drop once they get booted from the playoffs. So we'll see where his prices go. His PSA 10 Prism is floating around 600. I'm going to guess that could get down to 5, probably pretty easily here in the next couple weeks. I'll be very curious to see. Let me know, what are your predictions? What is the bottom price? What is the floor for a Zion PSA 10 Prism? Where do we think this gets to? 500, 450, 550, 4? Like, how low do we think this gets? I'm fascinated by this, to be honest with you, to see where this goes. So he's the first one. He's the test case. And he was last year too, which is funny because he got eliminated from the bubble early. and his prices crashed down back then. I should look. I'll have to pull the data and see what he dropped last year after they got booted from the bubble. But his bubble games were a disaster. Anyways, he was not in shape. He did not play well. The Pelicans did not play well. The whole situation was a mess. Trey Young actually saw a decent bump this week. Base Prism up 16%. Premier level up 10%. Concourse stayed steady, but only one sold, to be fair. Optic down about 8%, but he looks like he's getting a little pre-playoff bump. The Hawks are playing extremely well. They're probably going to be the 4 seed or the 5 seed, which means they're probably going to end up with, I think, the Heat or the Celtics. But to be fair, that is a very fluid situation. And the Hawks are playing really, really good basketball right now. I don't know how many people have noticed it. Bojan Bogdanovic is playing out of his freaking mind. I would really like to see this team get DeAndre Hunter back. And I would also really like to see my DeAndre Hunter Silver Prism come back from PSA that's out there through StarStock at the same time. But yeah, I am very curious to see what the Hawks look like in the playoffs. That's, to me, that's one of the most interesting things about this playoff run is we're going to see a lot of players like first time under the big spotlight. Trey Young, for example, Ja Morant, for example, and see what these guys can actually do. I think it could tell us a lot, and I think it could drastically impact their card prices. You know, if Trey Young comes out and goes ballistic for a round and knocks the Celtics or the Heat or whoever they get in the first round out and moves on to the second round and plays really well, I think we could see a good run up of his prices. Trey Young is popular. I think just a lot of people forgot about him and all this mess. So we'll see where his prices continue to go. But I was liked to see this, as it looks like he's getting a pre-playoff bump, in my opinion. We'll see if it sticks. We'll see what it looks like next 7 days. Maybe it drops right back down again. I don't know. But we'll see where Trey's prices end up. Last on the list is Ja. He's basically staying kind of flat. His PSA 10 Prism has settled in around $300, which just seems so cheap. I mean, even with the pop count, that just seems cheap. His concourse is down slightly. His premier level continues to slip, actually. This is getting spicy to me at sub 300 with a pop count of only 700 of these. And it's a pretty nice looking card, in my opinion. But yeah, this is getting a little interesting to see if this keeps slipping. They're most likely slated for a play-in game. If he can win a play-in game and get them into the 7th or the 8th seed, I just really want to see Ja in a full playoff series and see what he could do. Either prove that he deserves the hype that he gets or whatever. I just really want to see him in a full playoff series because I think he would ball out. I don't know that they would win, but I think Ja just needs the spotlight on him for a playoff run, even if it's just a series, just so everyone can remember, oh yeah, that's right. This is why this guy got so much hype. Because he's been playing nuts. He dropped 37 or 40 on, I think it was Portland the other day. I forget who that was against. But he just had a massive game the other day. He's had some duds. I mean, they win. He plays well, but he doesn't score a lot. That's the thing. He kind of goes in like this passive mode where he's making all his teammates better, but he's not putting up big numbers in the box score. And then every once in a while, he'll just drop like these 40 bombs on people. I am dying to see him in a playoff series. So I hope they make it through a play-in game and actually get a full legit shot. And the fun part about that would be like them versus the Suns, I think would be really fun. Them versus the Jazz could be fun. And if the Jazz don't have Mitchell back, I assume that they will. To me, they would be vulnerable, but we'll see how that ends up. So that wraps up all the charts and graphs. Before we get out of here, let's do Sunday Spotlight. And like I said, this is a fairly well-known individual in the hobby community, in my opinion. I really enjoy his content. It is completely different from a lot of the other content out there. And that is one Mr. Elite Coat 3. I just love putting his videos on. They're all submission reveals. 90% of them, I think, are usually PSA or SGC reveals. It is just the most relaxing thing to put in on the background. Him just flipping through a lot of cards that I kind of grew up on, like 80s, 90s junk wax stuff is a lot of what he sends in. Don't get me wrong. He has a lot of other really nice modern high end stuff too. But yeah, just a great channel. Nice, simplistic videos, very well spoken, nice video quality. Cool to see all these older cards come back and the modern stuff. And there's nothing that sparks joy in me more than Elite Co 3 talking about how nice the shine looks on a card. It just warms my little heart. But yeah, Elite Co 3, absolutely fantastic channel. I will link to his channel in the description down below. So go give him a follow if you haven't. Just absolutely fantastic PSA reveal videos. That is all I have for you guys and girls today. Don't forget to like the video, leave a comment if you got any questions, subscribe if you haven't. And if you're going to do any shopping on the wonderful world of eBay, please use the eBay affiliate link down below. Get a very small chunk of change from that. And also, if you want to check out Market Movers, where all the fancy charts and graphs come from, the link to that is down below as well with a coupon code. We will catch you all on the next one. Peace.